Hey all, here's the second half of notes on bonding. This is the one on, sorry, I'm getting texts about my daughter. Um, this is the one about covalent bonding. So last week we did ionic. Remember in ionic, things either gave away electrons or took electrons to get to the full 8, the full valent shell, to be unreactive. Okay. In covalent bonding, which is the one we're doing today, they're going to share electrons. Okay. So it's all about sharing. They're going to be nice and happy and wonderful and joyous. They're going to complete. Okay. So they're going to be that way. They're going to share like good kindergartners. Okay. Now, they need to complete an energy level in this way. So in this case here, they're non-metal bonded with non-metal. That's going to be, again, important going forward. Make sure you have this. We wrote this down last week. Hopefully you did. Okay. So moving ahead. Now, do write this down. Okay. Atoms will share to complete a full valence shell. So if you are most things, you're going to share to get to a total of 8. The only exception would be helium and hydrogen. Helium is actually not going to share, but it needs 2. Okay. And then hydrogen is going to share to get 2. And that one will come up actually a lot. So hydrogen needs 2. Everybody else needs 8. And they share to get electrons. They will not give or take them. They're going to share. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do a series of practice problems. I'm going to go ahead and switch my screen around here. So we can all see, hopefully. Okay. So the first problem here is 2 chlorines. Now, on ionic, you had to do the reactant side and then the arrow and then the products and the charges. For covalent, for the ones they share, I care just about the final product. So if you put one Cl and then another Cl next to each other, and you go look up Cl. So you go find how many valence dots does Cl have. Okay. Cl, as you see, has 7. Okay. So given that it has 7, okay, as you work your way around, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I want to think about this. 5, 6, 7. Okay. Notice that this one has one lonely one. This is going to work better if I put the lonely ones facing each other. Now my advice, I'm using a bright pen here, but I do this in pencil because you might need to erase. I'm going to show you some common mistakes. Okay. So the other CL is going to obviously have 7. I recommend putting the lonely ones facing each other. Now, how this works is they're going to form a bond between them, a covalent bond, which is a stronger bond. Each bond, so a covalent bond is drawn as a line, and that equals 2 electrons. So one bond is 2 electrons. So what I often like to do at this point, later this year we're going to learn a different way, is you can connect 2 dots. So if you connect 2 dots here, you'll see that that costs 2 electrons. Okay, and let's count them for each atom. So 2, 4, 6. Now remember, this counts as 2 electrons. They're sharing it. So if I cover this one up, I count this one 2, 4, 6, 8. The Cl has 8. If I look over here, 2, 4, 6, 8. The Cl has 8. So maybe a good analogy might be, it's like, wait a second, Bonifaci, like, how can it belong to both? Well, let's say if you're lucky for the holidays and someone buys you a brand new Xbox Series X or PS5, I you guys might disagree with me, but whichever one it is, but they buy it for you and your sibling, right? If your friend asked you, do you have the new PS5? You aren't going to be like, I'm sharing it with my sibling. We each have 50%. No, you're going to be like, yes, I have it. You should be jealous. You probably won't be a jerk like that. You'd be saying, just like if me and my neighbor bought a lawnmower together, we each have a lawnmower. Like we obviously share it, right? But we both have a lawnmower. And you and your sibling will both have an Xbox Series X. So yeah, you just have it here. So a bond counts for each one. This one has the 2 because they're being shared, and this one has those 2. Now let's do a different one here, F. What you're going to soon discover is there's only so many different problems I can do. They get really repetitive. They may have different symbols and different atoms, but they're really the same thing. Notice F has how many? 7. So when I put 7 around it, I'm going to again put the lonely one facing here. And then there's 7 around that one. I'll put the lonely one facing here. There's 7 around that one. Okay. And then I will connect these, making these a bond. Okay. So that's how that works. Now, here's a common mistake. Let me show you. There's what not to do. There's an F down here, another F. Go put the dots around it really quick. This happens all the time on quizzes, and I have to mark people wrong. Okay. They go to connect it, and they connect it like this. Those dots aren't actually connected. They're separate. So when I count this, I'd have to go 2, 4, 6, 8 for the bond, 9, because the thing's not part of it. Okay. You need to really, like, if you're connecting it, you're going to connect it. It doesn't need to be that thick, but cover the electrons. Make it clear to me that those are those 2 electrons. Otherwise, I have to count them as separate. Okay. So anyway, so that F1 is correct here. So here's the next one, 2 H's. Each of these get progressively slightly more challenging. So go ahead, and I want you to try this one yourself. Quick pause. Give it a go. Hopefully you looked up H as 1. If you hopefully thought to put the unpaired one together, you probably guessed that it goes like this, but you may have a question right now. Your question is, each one needs 8, like F needed 8 and Cl needed 8. H here doesn't have 8. This H here has 2 from that one, and this H1 here is 2. That's not 8. But if you remember, the first row only needs 2 to be full. H only needs 2 to be full. Each H here has 2. H is full at 2. It's the only exception. Everybody else should have an 8. Next one here. I'm going to go ahead and write down how you get it. You'd have H plus O. That's how you'd normally get it. It would be like this in a problem. Okay. And then you're like, well, how do I put them together? Well, I recommend putting them together by, and this one would have been H plus H, and then you would have written this. This would have been Cl plus Cl. You get the idea, right? This would be F plus F, and then so on, and you get the idea, right? So, but how do you arrange this? Well, whenever you see multiple things like this, you put the odd one, the one that's different from everybody else, in the middle. There's better patterns to it, which we'll learn later on, but at this point, put the odd one in the middle and you're probably right. So this is correct. So is this. This is also correct. See how the O is in the middle of both cases? These are both correct things. Okay. Now you go and put the dots on them. H has 1. So I'm going to put that 1 facing the O, because this is going to make it easier for you, that 1 facing the O. O has 6. So 2, 4, and I'm going to put the odd ones facing each H. Okay. So when you looked up O, O had 6. You looked up H, H had 1, and you arrange it this way. If you arrange it just like that, it's going to be really easy to connect the dots. Okay. Then you stop and count. Does everybody have what they call as an octet or duet? H should have a duet. Duet means 2, so that's full. And that H is full of a duet. O should have an octet. 2, 4, 6, 8. Octet. Over here, this would have been filled out slightly differently. This one would have been here and here. And then you would have put the 2 on these sides and the single ones on each of those sides. And you still connect it. But what you should realize is these are both the exact same thing. There's no real difference. And if you built those 3D models, they actually be identical. We'll do 3D models this spring, hopefully, if we can go back into classrooms. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see. Okay. So, any more practice problems? Okay. So that was the last practice problem that I really wanted to go over with you. What happened? Hopefully the meeting's still going on here. Come on. Yeah, there it is. Cool. So yeah, so this should be enough hints for you to be able to do the homework tomorrow. Okay. So come back to these, think about how these work, think about the general rules. So and in this way. So thank you guys very much. Have a great day.